Welcome to Political Beatdown. I'm Ben Meiselas, joined by Michael Cohen. So we have Donald Trump's crashing in the polls. His stock is crashing. Yet you have the United States Supreme Court that is just freezing everything, not making rulings. And regardless of what their absolute immunity ruling is going to be, they've basically afforded this traitor absolute immunity already by not ruling, by staying the case in Washington, D.C. for Trump's attempt at overthrowing our free and fair election. And look, I think the American public now is very focused. We've got the debate next week that Donald Trump and his surrogates are making these excuses of, oh, President Biden's going to be on drugs. Oh, it's rigged. And CNN's going to give him the questions in advance. Or, oh, it's not fair. But look, I think the American people, or let's just say that group of maybe like 20 to 30% of the American public that just wasn't paying attention, not the MAGA cult and not the kind of pro-democracy community that follows us every day. The rest of America that I think is decent people, a pro-democracy people, a supporting our allies people who have been fed all of these false narratives by the media for all this time. They're starting to focus and they're saying, what? What did he say? He's calling the January 6th insurrectionists hostages and saying they're patriots who need to be free. What? He's saying he's going to pardon the Proud Boys. What? He's having conversations with Hannibal Lecter, fictitious murderers in his own mind. What's he saying? He's making these posts every day with QAnon memes and he's going into churches and cursing in places of worship and claiming that there are black churches that are filled with 95% white people when they're all wearing what? What's going on here? And I just think that's getting into sharper focus. So where we see polls like the Fox poll, Michael Cohen, showing that there was an 11-point shift in independent voters from their prior poll, which had Trump up 2 from the independents. Now President Biden up 9 from independents. And I think it's more than that. I think it's significantly. I think Trump has shrunk the Republican Party in ways that these polls don't, I think, fully appreciate the intensity that the Republican Party is much more culty and much smaller. But the American people are paying attention. And Michael Cohen, people are paying attention to your new YouTube page, which is crushing it as well.
In 24 hours, I think we have just slightly over 8,000 subscribers and over 3,000 viewed hours so far on the handful of clips. Thanks to the Midas Touch team. I got to tell you, they're really great, and I suspect it's going to keep growing leaps and bounds.
Cohen, people don't see the team. I appreciate you saying that because these productions happen. We have Jeremy, we've got Salty, we've got Sydney, we've got Hayden, and the Midas Touch production team, right? I mean, you've been around some of the best producers out there from major networks. Isn't this crew something special?
Yeah, they are, and they're very funny. So as you know, I'm doing my my intake and then the outtakes onto it, and so on. They're like, I'll do like a 5-minute, and then they're gonna be like, well, we're gonna take that like about 2 or 3 minutes of it, then we're gonna splice in the part that you're talking about. But it's so fucking funny, your delivery on it and the way that you sort of explain it, using your Michael Cohen way of doing it. He goes, it's so informative, yet it's so funny. He goes, we love it. I do, however, I want to talk to you about, for example, what you just said, these polls. And and I've said this over and over and over again for many, many years, I don't believe in any of these polls. I really don't. Even the ones like this Fox poll that here seems to be showing, right? Since May, there was a 3-point change in the presidential race. Trump was ahead by 1 point last month. Wait, go back to that for 1 second. Trump was ahead by 1 point last month, while Biden is up by 2 points today, 50 to 48. That's well within the margin of error. Now, I like the fact, of course, that they remind you that it's within the margin of error. And I'm going to turn around. I'm going to make this prediction. All right. Says who? All right. You remember that when I was right the last time? Let me be very clear about something. All of this horse shit that you hear about how much closer the polls are. And so that's just to keep you engaged, to keep you locked into their station so they can keep selling their advertisement space and that they can keep the profits moving, for their company. Instead of telling you the truth. First of all of these polls, imagine that you are. So let's just take somebody's name is John or Jane. And all of a sudden, hello, John, Jane. Yeah, it's Michael Cohen here from the Midas Touch Network Political Beatdown live podcast. How are you today? Oh, great. Thank you very much. All right. Quick question for you. Do you mind if we ask you like 20 questions regarding a poll and so on? Oh, shit. You're kidding? Yeah. We really would appreciate it. All right. Ask me. Are you a Republican or a Democrat? Now, they already know who you are because the only people that are picking up the phones are people that have picked up previously. So you already know what they're going to say well in advance. That was the point I was trying to make when I was speaking years ago to Breonna Keeler on CNN. The polls are bullshit. Oh my God, they have 500 people, which is an enormous poll if you're actually calling. The truth is, you already know in advance exactly what these people are going to say. This person has voted Republican year after year after year for the last 20 years. They have never voted for a Democrat in their life. Let's see. Well, I really can't vote for Trump, but I really have never voted for a Democrat. I can't vote for Joe Biden. So they already know where this case is going. They know what the outcome of the poll is going to be. That's why I have no faith in it. What you get from the Midas Touch Network, from all of the podcasts, whether it's my Mea Culpa podcast, Legal AF, Meiselas Brothers, Mistrial, whatever. What you get here from Political Beatdown, you get from us the raw, the unfiltered truth, and the reality of what's really going on. We're not going to turn around and create the Ben Meiselas, Michael Cohen, poll on who's winning what. You already know where that's going to end up going. Just imagine if we only polled people that are right now followers of Political Beatdown. Just imagine what that poll would show. You would have like a 90% Joe Biden victory over von Schitzenpants. It's clear, right? So what would be the point for us to have a Political Beatdown poll? That's not what we do. What we do is we go to the street, all right? And that's really what you want. We go to the street and we actually use our knowledge. We use our relationships. We use our intuition in terms of taking the research that we take from the street and we then apply it to what's going on right now in the political world. And that's where we come up with our I don't want to call them opinion, but it's our understanding of what's going on right now. And here's the funny thing. Nobody out there, none of these fucking idiot political pundits like on the CNNs or the Foxes, not one of them hold a candle to either myself or Ben in terms of predicting what has happened. I mean, I've been almost 100% correct. Maybe I'm 95% correct on everything that I have said, going back to 2018, when I warned the country, I warned certainly the House Oversight Committee that if Trump loses in 2020, that there will never be a peaceful transfer of power again, right? And what ends up happening? The son of a bitch goes ahead and he ends up creating a January 6th insurrection. Meanwhile, now everybody uses my language. There'll never be a peaceful transfer of power. Hey, great, thanks. Why don't you attribute it? Why don't you attribute it to the guy who actually said it first? Yours truly. That's what you get here on Political Beatdown. And these sort of like little rants and so on, you're going to get that on my new YouTube channel, The Michael Cohen Show, that I'm doing, thank God, to the help of Midas Touch Network. Fantastic, right? You're going to get these nice little snippets. So enjoy it here where you have us for the hour. Enjoy on the Patreon, where you get to ask me your questions personally, individually, and enjoy me on the Michael Cohen Show on YouTube.
Look, one of the reasons that our predictions have been accurate is that the data's there. And what surprised me is how the media has ignored a lot of the data that's right in their face to push a narrative. So, whereas they'll talk about this poll or that poll that samples, let's say, 500 or 700 people, which may have some statistical significance, what I want to focus on is, has there been some scenarios where people have been voting in swing states already where we can extrapolate hundreds of thousands or millions? The same way in 2022, when everyone was saying the red wave, you could see, okay, who's voting early, who hasn't voted early. You can look at party affiliation and you can say, well, wait a minute, in the midterms, if there's going to be a red wave, then there's going to need to be some record Republican turnout because Democrats and independents are at a record level. So it's going to have to be balanced somewhere. No one was talking about like the 40 million votes that had already come in. Similarly, Michael Cohen, we could look right now at states like Michigan and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. We could look at what's happened across the country in these various primaries where President Biden's getting 90 to 95% of the vote, and Donald Trump is losing about 20% of the vote to Nikki Haley. There's like a 20% protest vote to Donald Trump. And all the media was telling us is that there was going to be a 20, based on their polls, like already, right, Cohen? They were saying there would be about a 20 to 30% protest vote against President Biden. So I said, okay, let's take a look at, is that what's actually happening? And no, President Biden's doing better in primaries now than he did in 2020, than he did in 2020, like by far. And he's doing better than what Obama did in Obama's second term reelection campaign against Romney. So I'm looking at, wait a minute, Biden's fundraising more than Obama. Biden's numbers in the primaries are better. Trump's are lower. Trump's are following the trend that we're talking about, that people are leaving the Republican Party. So I have statistically significant data that just gets ignored by the media. And that's what you and I talk about all the time.
And, you know, the funniest part is while Joe Biden and this administration are killing it, they are doing phenomenal work. Maybe one of the best in at least modern history. I mean, whether it's the CHIPS Act, whether it's the reducing of insulin and drug prices, whether it's the infrastructure bill, whether it's the assistance to Ukraine and what's going on in terms of trying to negotiate 2,500 year conflict in the Middle East, and just all the things that this administration getting rid of a whole bunch of the debt from the student debt. I mean, just everything that he's doing. That's not why Joe Biden, believe it or not, it's not why Joe Biden is actually up in the numbers. You know, the reason, Ben, that Biden's numbers keep climbing and von Schitzenpants's numbers keep decreasing is because von Schitzenpants doesn't know how to shut the fuck up. I mean, you do not, if you have half a brain, you do not pat yourself on the diaper, all right, especially when it's full, to congratulate yourself for being the guy who overturned Roe v. Wade, 50-year stare decisis, that now impedes upon a woman's right to choose her reproductive decisions. You just don't take it. I mean, the group that he's pandering to are small. They are minuscule compared to the number of women voters in the United States of America. In fact, there are more women voters than there are male voters. You are committing political suicide each and every time that you open your mouth and you say this stupid thing. And he does it all the time. Then you watch the unhinged Mandarin Mussolini go on a rant in front of a rally where people are picking themselves up and they're just walking out because it's it's so stupid, right? That he's sitting there talking about if he was on a sinking boat, and because the boat is powered now by battery, I don't even know what boat he's talking about. After I saw that, I was curious, what boat is he talking about? So I started to Google. What large boats are powered solely by battery, and there are none. I've seen some small ones that are powered by, that it's like a one-person or a two-person like scooter boat, almost like a what do you call it, like a wave runner, but electric. I don't even know what the hell he's talking about. And the next thing you know, now there's sharks, right? And it's either you get eaten by a shark or you get electrocuted. I mean, is this really the kind of conversation that you think a potential president should be even thinking about? How about talking about inflation, since that's a problem, or the cost of goods, the cost of food? So he decides, von shits and pants, in his infinite wisdom, along with the morons that are surrounding him, hey, I have an idea. I have a great idea. Let's not forget Hannibal Lecter, because Hannibal Lecter's on the boat with him. And Hannibal Lecter chooses as well to be electrocuted, just so you know. All of a sudden, you're sitting there and he's talking about the economy. He's talking about taxes. Okay, it's great. Finally, we're talking about something that affects all of us. No taxes. No taxes anymore. He's got a better idea. Let's go to a system where all the money that the United States needs is going to be raised by tariffs. And I want to be very clear about something. All right. This pen that you could buy on the internet for 50 cents, and you could put your name embossed onto it. So you give it out as is like a throwaway to potential customers or clients. 50 cents for that pen. As a result of the tariff, let's say it's coming from China, that pen's going to cost you $10. It's going to cost you $10. You're going to have a trade war that this country has never, ever seen. The concept, according to everybody, people who know a whole lot more than myself, but you're talking about real think tank economists, you're talking about crashing the U.S. economy. Literally, because we don't produce these pens. We don't produce them. So where are you going to get it from? We're going to start building manufacturing facilities in America that will produce this pen. No, we won't. No, we won't.
Just think about it this way. If you're saying you're going to fund our entire government by tariffs, right? Taxes on imports from foreign countries. Well, the American economy is so much bigger than the rest of the world's economy. So just if you think about it at the most basic level, how could you possibly fund the biggest economy with tiny economies and taxing imports on tiny, like it just simply makes no sense. So we're going to fund our entire system here by taxing the imports of other countries while the other countries raise their treasury in other ways. Like it quite literally makes no sense. Now, as a form of protectionism and as a form of, taking strong positions against trade policies and taking anti-dumping positions against when other countries want to flood the market with goods at certain prices in order to try to undermine your market, then there may be a surgical need for tariffs in specific situations. But the very concept that to even say that there are going to be, again, and it's just appealing to the lowest common denominator, because everyone's like, great, no taxes, sure. But then it's not gonna matter, because it's gonna turn our country into having our country's gonna look like Trump's companies, totally bankrupt. So another way of looking at it is the same way that Trump. What'd you say?
Yeah, that's a great segue into talking about yet another more recent complete disaster. And we're talking about
Trump
DJT. There
media.
you go. I mean, how
Yeah.
many? 420,000 MAGA people own shares in this worthless company. So there's going to be 420,000 people. It's good, I guess, for Amazon or for Walmart or Costco, because these people are going to take their stock certificates. They're going to put it into a picture frame, and they're going to use it as a wall covering. Maybe they'll put it in the bathroom, or they'll put it in their living room or somewhere in their office to show, hey, it's a stock certificate. It's a stock that shows that not only that I support Donald Trump, but that I'm in business with him, so to speak. And you can take that worthless piece of paper, and when you run out of toilet paper, you know what you can do with it.
If you think about Trump media, it is with all of Donald Trump's undisputed influence, like it or not, he's got a whole group of people there who are his cult following, which he claims it's over 100 million Americans. I think it's closer to 30 million Americans. But for the sake of this exercise, use his number. Say that he's got, and this will prove that those aren't the numbers. Say he's got 100 million Americans who support him. So you would then think, if he were to launch a company like Trump Media, that's an alternative to Twitter and an alternative to other social media platforms, that those 100 million people, right, would use something that they can use for free, right? And then you can build an advertising model around it. So if you had 100 million people and you could move them over to your social media company, why is it that the entire revenue you generated in the last 3 months, the first quarter or so, was $750,000, less than what a single McDonald's franchise would make in that time period? Not to mention, Trump Media lost in the first quarter of 2024 $327 million. That's on top of the loss in 2023 of about $58 million on $4 million in revenue in 2023. So now the revenue is slightly less in 2024, right? 750,000 for this quarter gives you a projection of under $4 million. But now your losses are $327 million. Now, first off, where's that money going? How could you lose that amount of money? And I don't know where the money's going, so let me be clear, and all of this is opinion, what I'm saying. That money is going somewhere, right? Money doesn't disappear. Money goes in from one place to another place. So the question is where is that 327 million loss going? I don't have an answer, we don't have answers.
It seems like with all his companies, from their pockets to his pocket, right?
It certainly disappeared. It certainly is a lot of money disappearing or is being shown as a loss in 3 months. So if you just take that, Cohen, there's almost a perfect through line, though, into, and why you said it's a perfect segue, in how he would want to handle the American economy, and frankly did, but for President Biden and adults in the room saving it, because we would be right now in the most massive depression if Donald Trump were still in office. Let's be very, very clear about that, right? With Donald Trump taking on all of that debt, printing all of that money recklessly, the tax cuts to the billionaires, screwing over working class people. It was a recipe for disaster. And Trump's whole plan was to pretend it doesn't exist. What Trump would have done too, as the Fed would raise the interest rates, Donald Trump would try to take over the Fed and say that you shouldn't be able to do that. That should be my role, which was created in direct response to the fact that there was a Great Depression. And we are so fortunate to be where we are right now. And the fact that there are even some business leaders with all of his business failures, and I'm sure you saw, Cohen, the recent S1 that he filed. He had to file an amended S1 that gave all of these disclosures, all of the bankruptcies he's been through in his career, all of the mismanagement, all of the lawsuits over and over again, and the fact that you have a company that's only generated $750K in revenue and a $327 million loss in a quarter, that's even trading at anywhere near it is so Trumpy. You don't get more Trumpy than this. And you pull up that graphic one more time, Jeremy, so people can see where the stock is right now. And one of the things
it's trading right now at $26.75 at the closing of right now of the bell. So here's the funny thing as well. If you take a look at all of the failures of the various different Trump enterprises, then if he came in with his CV to run Midas Touch, you would turn around and you would laugh at him. You would laugh. This is not somebody that you're hiring simply because, oh my God, this is a guy who's going to take my business, he's going to grow it, expand it, and so on. That's never what happens. In fact, you could look, there's like 20, 30 different companies that have all closed down that they keep constantly talking about. So the fact that he wants to brag and talk to you and tell you and about all of his incredible business successes and his business acumen, and that only he can do X, Y, and Z. And by the way, not only can he do X, Y, and Z, he can also do it in 24 hours, like resolve the Russia-Ukraine conflict. He could put an end to the Israel-Palestinian, the Hamas war. I mean, he could do all of this in 24 hours. It's really truly amazing. And the worst part, though, is you have these MAGA morons. You know who I'm talking about. You're talking about the folks with the 3 teeth and the 4 brain cells that are actually out there putting, or buying NFTs of Donald with a cape, wearing a Superman outfit, because anybody who can actually resolve the Israel-Hamas war in 24 hours, I too would say that that person is a Superman. Why? Because that conflict's been going on for over 2,000 years. But this ass clown thinks he's going to walk in, he's going to turn around and tell Netanyahu, he's going to turn around and tell the Palestinian Authority and Hamas, if you don't do this, there's going to be real consequences. I'm going to go to my friend, Little Rocket Man, and then we're going to come up with something really beautiful, really big, really great, and it's going to put an end to all of this. And then they're looking at him, right? Like Putin will. They're scratching their head and saying, what a jerk off.
If one of the things, so I represented Colin Kaepernick and was business partners with Colin Kaepernick. And I just remember, as Jeremy was putting up that graphic, I just remember all of the right wing was saying how disrespectful it was to the flag when Colin Kaepernick was peacefully protesting, keeping to himself on the sidelines, not bringing attention to it. He spoke with a Navy SEAL about doing it respectfully as well. The Navy SEAL spoke to him, taking a knee to just bring attention to the disparate killings of Black and brown people in the United States of America. And that's why he did it. And he did it in a respectful way. But all you heard from kind of MAGA then was, that's such a disrespect to the flag. You're disrespecting the flag. And it was never a disrespect to the flag thing at all. Like, that's actually what the First Amendment is. Meanwhile, you've got all these MAGA flags right now like this. And the MAGA flags, they don't fly the American flag. They fly Trump flags. They fly these flags that have Donald Trump's mugshot on it. These Let's Go Brandon flags that they have, or these white boy summer banners that they hold up at these events. They don't sing the national anthem anymore. They sing the J6 choir song. Just think about this. Donald Trump posts these photos of the preamble of the Constitution, hugging him, and he posts these photos of Jesus on his shoulder. It's some real strange stuff. Just think about this, Cohen. When you go to a Trump event, when you don't go to one, but when people show up there, it says, please rise for the singing, not of the national anthem.
Right.
Please rise as we sing the J6 choir. They've been horrifically treated and they are hostages. Please sing. And it's a different song, and it sounds somewhat like the anthem, but it is the violent insurrectionist and Donald Trump's song. They replaced our anthem. They're in churches cursing. He cuddles up with Putin. It is some bizarre, bizarre stuff, which is why the next topic I want to cover with you is the debate coming up next week. And I want to talk about, obviously Fox is ramping up the excuse mill right now, right? They're saying it's going to be rigged. They're saying that CNN's a propaganda network. You have Lara Trump, Donald Trump's daughter-in-law, going on Fox and saying that President Biden's going to be on drugs. So I think we're going to see a steady stream of that right now. But I want to get your.
By the way, didn't he agree to all the rules?
Yeah.
Didn't he agree to the terms? Didn't he agree that CNN was going to actually host this? Yeah. So now, of course, I mean, it's not like they shoved it down his throat and said you have to do it. He could have said, "I'm not doing it," right? I mean, look, we all know that Donald Trump is a master debater. All right, so it's going to be wonderful to watch.
I want to talk about that with you. I want to remind everybody about your new YouTube channel. You actually have 8.5 thousand subs in under 48 hours. That's a pretty unbelievable number right there. You can go check out Michael Cohen's YouTube channel. Subscribe to that channel for free. Let's try to get that to 10,000 subs by the end of this show. Wouldn't that be great? At The Michael Cohen Show is where you find it, at The Michael Cohen Show. So check that out. Also, you can check us the link is in the description as well. You could also support the show and the growth of this independent media platform. One way to do that is at patreon.com/political beatdown, patreon.com/political beatdown. And usually once every 2 weeks or so, sometimes we do it once a week, sometimes a few times a month, Michael Cohen and I hold a private Zoom meeting with the patrons who can ask us anything. And we have a great time doing that. So check that out, patreon.com/political beatdown. And the other way we help fund this program is with our pro-democracy sponsors, who we are grateful for, who have great products and services that Jordy vets. So let's just show you some of those, and we'll be right back.
So Lumen is the world's first handheld metabolic coach. It's a device that measures your metabolism through your breath. And on the app, it lets you know if you're burning fat or carbs. And it gives you tailored advice to improve your nutrition, your workouts, your sleep, and even stress management. So all you have to do is this. You breathe into your Lumen first thing in the morning, and you'll know what's going on with your metabolism, whether you're burning mostly fats or carbs. Then Lumen gives you a personalized nutrition plan for that day based on the measurements. You can also breathe into it before and after workouts and your meals so that you know exactly what's going on in your body in real time. And Lumen will give you tips to keep you on top of your health game. So let me be clear. Your metabolism is your body's engine. It's how your body turns the food that you eat into fuel that keeps you going. It can also track your cycle as well as the onset of menopause and adjust your recommendations to keep your metabolism healthy through hormonal shifts so that you can keep up your energy and stave off cravings. So if you want to take the next step in improving your health, go right now to lumen.me/beat to get 15% off your Lumen. That's lumen.me/beat. BEAT for 15% off your purchase. And thank you, Lumen, for sponsoring this episode. It's hot outside, and your nighttime bedroom temperature has a huge impact on your sleep quality. If you wake up too hot or too cold, I highly recommend that you check out Miracle Made's bed sheets. Miracle Made sheets are inspired by NASA, and they use silver-infused fabrics that are temperature regulating so that you can sleep at the perfect temperature all night long. Miracle sheets are luxuriously comfortable without the high price tag of other luxury brands. And you know what? They feel as nice, if not nicer, than sheets used by some five-star hotels. Using silver-infused fabrics inspired by NASA, Miracle Made sheets are thermoregulating and designed to keep you at the perfect temperature, again, all night long, no matter the weather, so that you get better sleep every single night. Stop sleeping on bacteria. Bacteria can clog your pores, causing breakouts and acne. I mean, sleep clean with Miracle. These sheets are infused with silver that prevent up to 99.7%, get a look, 99.7% of bacterial growth, leaving them to stay cleaner and fresh 3 times longer than other sheets. So there's no more gross odors too. Go to trymiracle.com/beat to try Miracle Made sheets today. And whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, if you order today, you can save over 40%. And if you use our promo code BEAT, B-E-A-T, at checkout, you'll get 3 free towels and save, get a load of this, an extra 20%. Miracle is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you aren't 100% satisfied, you'll get a full refund. Now upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. And go to trymiracle.com/beat and use the code BEAT to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40%. Again, that's trymiracle.com/beat to treat yourself. And thank you, Miracle Made, for sponsoring this episode.
Thank you to our pro-democracy sponsors. Michael Cohen, even your ad reads are entertaining. I would watch a show of your ad reads.
Yeah. You know, it's very funny. So today when I was at my usual coffee shop, it's like, where everybody knows your name. This guy, I started talking to him. He's a trainer. And he was there and he was talking to a guy about, how to eat and carbs and all that other stuff. I said to him, have you heard of this thing called Lumen? Because I started using it. I got one and I started using it. It's really fantastic. You plug it into the computer, tells you what you should eat, what you shouldn't eat, and it actually helps you in order to get your metabolic function at its highest peak and optimal, it's at optimal base, which is great. And he turned around and he said that he's going to start doing that. But he had an interesting idea too. As the trainer, he wants them to provide his email address so that he could take the information and that he could go ahead and he could then tailor it in order to add on to it exercise and additional diet and stuff like that. So it was really interesting. I did screw up, by the way. Listen, I'm the truth teller here. I did screw up. I told him that he should use the code Cohen, right? Now it's the code BEAT. So hopefully I'll see him again outside because I'm sure I totally messed up.
Maybe you create the app that links the trainers to the Lumen, and there's a business opportunity there, huh? Anyway,
there you go. It's
it would definitely do better. It would definitely do better than Trump Media. We wouldn't lose $327 million in 3 months. All right, there's the stock right there. So as we look forward to the debate, which is scheduled for next week, assuming Donald Trump doesn't back out, I want to ask you about that in a moment. You've got all of the kind of the new Republicans. What do the new Republicans look like? What does it mean to be in the Republican Party today with the MAGA takeover? They're saying, look, Donald Trump is bigger than the Philadelphia Eagles. He's bigger than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's got a humongous brand, they say. They wear gold chains with Donald Trump's face on it now. And let me just show you one of the big leaders of the Republican Party. I'm not making this up. This is one of the major influencers and leaders of the Republican Party who's closely linked with the Trump campaign. His name is Forgaccio Blow or something like this. And you see him in the photos often with Alina Habba when they wear Trump's gold chain together. It's like a fake gold chain with Trump's. I think it's gold fake at least. It looks like it with Trump's face on it, with the big MAGA hats. Here's what this major Republican leader has to say about everything. Here, play this clip.
Never seen support for any president like this ever, right? Donald Trump has the most support out of anybody. I mean, Donald Trump is almost bigger than, the Philadelphia Eagles, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, his brand is humongous.
That's what they're saying there. Then you've got
nothing for nothing. I'd rather own the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or the Philadelphia Eagles as opposed to owning the Trump org.
You know, that guy, I think, thinks that he's really famous because of the MAGA world. Like, I think that Lara Trump and all of these kind of MAGAs in their own little world. Like, I was watching Lara Trump answer these questions last night. It came on my Twitter feed. It was on my Twitter feed. And the way she was responding to these questions, I think I responded to Brent. I'm like, I think she thinks she's like Taylor Swift famous. Like, I think they buy into this. They buy into the propaganda they're selling as well. And they're so lost and they're so delusional that they don't understand like what real influence is. And then just take a look at what they're being told every day, though. This is Hannity, and this is from last night. And Hannity talks about why he thinks the debate is going to be unfair. Now, what should be clear is that Hannity is a surrogate of Trump now. So Hannity doesn't independently go on and have this segment just because, right? He consults with Trump. They talk about what to put on Fox. And then he goes out there and messages it for Fox. That he's essentially an arm of the Trump campaign. Here's what he was saying last night. Let's play it.
All right, we are only 8 days away from the first presidential debate, and I think it is past time for the moderators, fake Jake Tapper on fake news CNN, fake Dana Bash, to get their network in check. Because right now, we are witnessing North Korea levels of nothing but outright propaganda. And as you can see, they're not doing journalism. They lie. They say they're journalists. No, they're not. They're state-run media. They're certainly not holding truth to power. The state-run media is simply repeating White House talking points, all in what is a desperate attempt to defend their chosen candidate. Take a look.
Hannity is truly amazing. In fact, if you Google this, so I want my brigaders right now to Google this, Hannity acknowledging that he is not a journalist, that he is a talk show host. Do you remember that? You remember that went on when they were trying to hold Hannity to journalistic standards. Salty, if you're there, Jeremy, if you're there, do me a big favor. See if you can find that one. We're going to pop it right up there. Hannity went on and he was crystal clear that he is not a journalist, but rather a talk show host. And he could not and should not be held to journalistic standards. The greatest is when they say fake Jake Tapper. Now, I want to be clear. I'm not a great fan of Jake Tappers. All right. Dana Bash, she's okay. I happen to like her, but I'm not a great fan of Jake Tappers. But fake Jake Tapper, fake Dana Bash, what do you mean? They're not real? Are they some sort of a mannequin with their faces installed onto it? One of these sort of China dolls that have AI in it that interact with people? What does he mean by fake, right? By fake Jake Tapper, fake Dana Bash? What makes them fake? The fact that your Fuhrer, Donald von Schitzenpants, agreed to CNN. If you have a problem with CNN, if somebody came to me right now and I was running for the presidency and it was Fox News and they say, we'd like to be the one in order to host the first debate, I would turn around and I would say, there goes the two-finger salute to you. Ain't fucking happening. Not the first debate, not the second debate, not the third debate. I'd sooner have individuals, independent voters from the street moderate the debate over a Sean Hannity or formerly Megyn Kelly, wherever the hell that loser is at, News Nation, or wherever the fuck she ended up landing at. What's the point to have them on? And if I believe, there you go, Sean Hannity once again confirms he is not a journalist. I mean, there must be 100 articles that are exactly the same as this one. It's truly amazing. And now he's questioning Jake Tapper, Dana Bash, who, by the way, will turn around and tell you that they are journalists and so on. So it's just amazing that how easily Fox News will go out there and they will lie to their viewers, and that they will come up with more horse shit, all in the name of Donald J. Trump. It's amazing. And the number of idiots that are buying it. You know what? Sean Hannity, congratulations. You, my friend, my former friend, you today get the two-finger salute for being a fucking jerk off and an asshole. All right? You are helping somebody who wants to overthrow our democratic republic. You do not support somebody who doesn't believe in the Constitution. You do not support someone. He's got daughter. He's got a daughter. I happen to have met her. She's a fabulous young woman. Just imagine for a second that, God forbid, she needed an abortion or IVF or mifepristone or whatever the hell. And now all of a sudden you got to go to another state, or because Sean has his own airplane, right? You get onto your plane and you go fly to another country. Maybe you go to Canada, or you go to England or Switzerland, or wherever you're going to go in order to take care. So for you, it's okay, but for everybody else, it's not. Sean, in all fairness, smarten the fuck up. And as a result, the two-finger salute goes to you.
Here's the exact quote from Hannity, and this came after Hannity's text messages with Mark Meadows, where they were planning they were talking about overthrowing the government. Is right around the time of the insurrection. You had Hannity was also kind of coaching Mark Meadows about what to do and what Trump should be doing relating to the January 6th insurrection. And so that's where this quote from Hannity comes from. And Hannity said, quote, "I go out of my way to explain what my job is, because a lot of people in the media mob do not understand what we do." Hannity said on his Friday broadcast, "Yes, I'm a member of the press. I'm on the Fox News channel, which is a news channel, but I don't claim to be a journalist." They're in his own words. I don't claim to be a journalist. Cohen, you're also talking about women's reproductive rights. Melinda Gates just came out with a powerful statement moments ago endorsing President Biden. Here's what she had to say. "I've never endorsed a presidential candidate before, but this year's election stands to be so enormously consequential for women and families that this time I can't stay quiet. Women deserve a leader who cares about the issues they face and is committed to protecting their safety, their health, their economic power, their reproductive rights, and their ability to freely and fully participate in a functioning democracy. In this election, the contrast couldn't be greater and the stakes couldn't be higher. I will be voting for President Biden." And to the extent there is a debate that happens next week, if Donald Trump—
Thank you, Melinda. I think each and every one of us that are watching, there's over 11,000 with us right now, just hit the blue heart in honor of Melinda Gates. It's a brilliantly written statement that really goes to the fundamental of what Ben and I on this program, on Midas Touch Network, on all the Midas Touch, podcasts and so on. It's everything that we all talk about day in and day out, day in and day out. So, Melinda, thank you.
And look, Donald Trump's going to be asked about his view of Roe v. Wade being overturned. And Donald Trump celebrates Roe v. Wade being overturned. Donald Trump says that all Americans support Roe v. Wade being overturned. And what Donald Trump would say at the debate is that states are free to do anything they want. If states want to monitor women's pregnancies and their periods, states should be able to do that. If states want to lock women up and lock doctors up, states should be free to do that. If states want to spy on women's medical files, Donald Trump would say states should be able to do that. How do I know that's his view? Because he's said that before, and we've covered that before on the Midas Touch Network. In his own words, we've played the video, we've played the clips, and President Biden's going to say he supports women's reproductive freedoms and that he's going to do everything he can to make sure Roe v. Wade is restored as the law of the land. You think about just other questions that are going to happen if this debate actually takes place. Donald Trump still denies the results of the 2020 election. If Donald Trump's asked a question, a very simple question, I think he will be, by the moderators, do you claim that you won the 2020 election? Just think about how Donald Trump's going to answer that. He's going to claim he won in 2020 and that it was rigged. How do I know this? Because Donald Trump says that all the time. Donald Trump's going to call the January 6th insurrectionist hostages and say they were patriots. And Trump's going to be confronted with the fact that he's changed the national anthem, that he makes songs with the J6 choir, that he's called for the Proud Boys to be released from prison. How do I know he's going to say that? Because he said that before. He has statements out there, and we know he's going to say that. Trump's going to call for America to leave NATO and for NATO to be disbanded. Donald Trump will say that he believes Vladimir Putin over our intelligence agencies. So that's what's going to happen at this debate. And just think about those points alone right there. Just those points alone. You know, and I think what President Biden has to do is because Trump speaks in Trump language, like it's his own language where he just garbles all of his words. I think what President Biden or anybody who debates Donald Trump, I think you have to basically go, look, I just want everybody to be clear what he just said. We all need to be clear that he just said that he wanted Roe v. Wade to be overturned, and he supports states monitoring pregnancies and monitoring periods and locking women up. I just want to be clear that we all heard what he just said, because that should not be the position of any American president. Then move on in the rebuttal. And every time Donald Trump says that, because you know how Trump looks, I very powerfully do this and very powerfully, and I think, and it's all garbled together. So I never said that. If you debate him, you have to then translate him to the public.
So
right there on the spot.
It's not as simple as that, because of course, each person has a certain time within which to answer the question, and the moderators are really trying to push as much of the questions through during the course of the night. I'm going to share something, Ben, with you, and of course with our brigaders. I actually reached out to somebody who was very close to Biden's people and offered my service in order to help Biden to come up with responses that will get under Trump's skin. Because nobody knows Trump better than I. And, many of the questions are going to irritate him, like the one that you just asked. If you come out and you confront him, and the question is going to be, do you acknowledge that you free and fairly lost the election in 2020, or do you believe that you were the victim of a scam in 2020, and you still acknowledge the big lie? He has no choice but to say that he believes that it was stolen from him, and so on, which I think is truly amazing. That's not the way that Biden needs to answer the response. The first thing he has to do is go right to the heart of the issue, which is Trump's brain. All right. Donald believes that he won the election because he's an idiot. Because Donald Trump has no comprehension of reality. That's the way that Biden has to say. Maybe don't call him an idiot, because that's not Biden's lingo. It's Michael's, right? Like if I was debating him, I would turn around right after they said, and what do you believe? And I would start to laugh, and I would say, because the guy's just a fucking idiot, right? And there's X number of million Americans that believe that this idiot should be the president of the United States, despite the fact he doesn't even acknowledge in the free and fair election. Unless he wins, it's got to be a setup. It's the same thing that he's doing right now. He's already preparing in advance to tell you that this debate, which of course I will win, is rigged because he has no idea what he's talking about, and because I will call him out on each and every lie, each and every misstatement, malinformation, disinformation that he tries to advance to the American people. I will call him out on it, and I will let you know what is true and what is not. Boom. That's how you take him apart. You have to constantly talk about things that will get under his skin. As soon as you get under his skin, he will lose it. He's going to desperately try. That's what his people are telling him. You need to come out there and you need to look exactly like a president. You need to be presidential in your demeanor. You need to be presidential in your responses. You need to be the exact opposite of what everybody is saying that you're going to be. Very much like what the media thought that they were going to do, or what Trump's slow attorney, the stupidest lawyer of all time, Todd Blanche, thought that he was going to do to me. He was going to get me, freak out, pick myself up, walk off the stand. Who knew what this idiot was dreaming of at night as it related to me? No, Trump is going to try to be presidential. He's going to come in, he's going to try to look all presidential, he's going to try to behave in a presidential manner. But once you get under his skin, I promise you, that's when he loses it. And he starts to go in these crazy rants about sharks, right? And he goes about electrocution and batteries and windmills and so on. And all of a sudden, people, the whole country will be watching this debate and saying, and this is a guy who's questioning my cognitive abilities. This is a guy who's questioning my acuity. Is this guy drunk or is he demented? It's one or the other. And that's what I would do.
Cohen, do you say he debates or you think he's going to back out?
No. He'll debate. He'll debate, and he will, again, he's going to debate, but he's going to, because that's what everybody's telling him. You got to come out there and you have to destroy all negative expectations about you acting in a certain way, in a certain manner. But once Joe Biden and his people, they just don't know how to get under Trump's skin as I do. Once they do get under the skin, and it'd be nice to do it from the beginning, from the get-go, right? Because that'll completely unhinge him for the rest. Once you do that, boom, case over. Case over.
Well, you don't get a closer source to how to handle Trump in a debate than Michael Cohen. So I'm super thrilled about your new YouTube channel, which is absolutely crushing it. Everybody check out at the Michael Cohen Show. The link is in the description below. I think we're very close to hitting that 10,000 subscriber mark. Every day you'll be posting new videos. I want to try to get in record time to 100,000 subs. I think we can absolutely do it. So everybody check it out at the Michael Cohen Show. Also on Patreon, patreon.com/Political Beatdown. Help us continue to build this show and this pro-democracy network. And we will be doing another Zoom live meeting exclusive to our patrons. And it helps build this show. We're not funded by outside investors. So help us keep growing. Patreon.com/Political Beatdown. Cohen, I hear there's 9.3 thousand subs on your YouTube. So we were super close to getting to the 10,000 in record time. But everybody, make sure you go there after. Also, check out the Mea Culpa podcast, Mea Culpa Blue. Wherever you get audio podcasts, go check out the Mea Culpa Blue. Just search Mea Culpa. Subscribe to Political Beatdown wherever you get your audio podcasts as well. And thank you, everybody. We really appreciate it. Have a great weekend. The Brother Show will be taking place tonight that I do with Brett and Jordy. The Midas Touch podcast will start.
Is that on? Remind everybody what time it's
8
on.
Eastern, 5 Pacific, live tonight. 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Check us out tonight. And Cohen, always a pleasure. Brigaders, always a pleasure. Let's spread this knowledge. I feel momentum right now. I really do. And it's because of all of you. Thank you so much. Shout out to the Brigaders and shout out to the Midas Mighty.